Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our BDM webinar. Tonight, I'm going to reveal something new, something I've been thinking about for quite some time. In fact, I've had the quotation you see on my computer screen as a constant reminder. It asks a very simple but profound question. What is the one thing in your life that would make all other things unnecessary? Think about that for a moment. What is that one thing? For some people, it might be health. For others, relationships, freedom, peace of mind, or time with their family. But I believe there is something that touches virtually every area of our lives, and that's financial freedom. Many years ago, Wallace D. Wattles wrote a little book called The Science of Getting Rich. In it, he talked about living a full and complete life, a life that encompasses the mind, the spirit, and the body. And he made an observation that has stayed with me. Money is an essential tool for living that fuller life. Not because money is everything, it isn't, but money can provide choices. It can give you the ability to take care of the people you love, pursue opportunities, deal with unexpected circumstances, and have greater control over how you spend your most valuable asset, your time. And if that's true, then perhaps one of the most important questions we can ask ourselves is, how do we develop a reliable skill that gives us the ability to create income without having to depend entirely upon an employer, a company, or someone else deciding what we're worth? That's the question that led me here. And it's the reason I'm particularly excited about what I'm going to share with you tonight. Introducing the Trading Club. We're launching something new, our trading club, but it isn't about handing you a magic formula. It's not about promising overnight wealth, and it certainly isn't about telling you that trading is easy. Quite the opposite. Trading is a skill, and like any worthwhile skill, it has to be learned. Let me just mute everybody. You need to understand the rules. You need to understand the markets. You need to learn how to manage risk. You need discipline. And most importantly, you need a process you can follow rather than simply relying on emotion, intuition, or luck. And that's what we're building. A place where ordinary people can come to learn the skill of trading, receive training and guidance, and develop the knowledge and discipline necessary to make their own informed decisions. And here's the part I find especially exciting. You don't have to be a financial genius to learn this. You don't need a Wall Street background. You don't need a degree in economics. You need an open mind, a willingness to learn, and the discipline to follow a proven process. Tonight, I'm going to show you what we're building, how the education works, how the opportunity works, and why I believe this could become one of the most important skills you'll ever learn. So forget what you think you know about trading for the next hour. Open your mind, take some notes, ask some questions, and then at the end, you can decide for yourself whether this is something worth pursuing. Because perhaps the most important question tonight isn't, can I become a trader? Is this, what could my life look like if I developed a skill that gave me more control over my financial future? Let's watch a short video.
This message is for network marketers, entrepreneurs, investors, and anyone who has ever wondered if there's a better way to put their money to work. Let's be honest. The world of network marketing has changed dramatically. What worked 20, 30, or even 40 years ago doesn't necessarily work the same today. Customer acquisition is harder. Advertising is more expensive. People are more skeptical. And even some of the biggest names in the industry are struggling to adapt. So here's the question. What if the answer isn't working harder at the same game, but learning a completely different game? Imagine discovering a strategy where participants have historically targeted returns of 1 to 2% most days, and even much higher returns on specific days of the week, all from working for only 1 hour per day. Now imagine having the ability to compound those gains into real wealth over time. Sounds interesting, right? But before you get too excited, let me be clear, there are no guarantees. Any legitimate opportunity involving money requires research, due diligence, and an understanding of the risks. What caught my attention is that there are people who have been involved in this space for decades, some for as long as 40 years. And if you decide to explore it with me, I will introduce you to some of these people so you can hear it directly from them. Now, you may be thinking, John, that sounds great, but I don't have money to invest. But here's where it gets really interesting. What if there were institutions willing to provide you with the capital while you share a portion of the results? Then if you want to, you could set aside some of your earnings to trade with and keep 100% of the profits for yourself. Would that change your perspective? I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to take a look. Ask questions. Do your homework. Listen to the experts. And decide for yourself whether this is something worth exploring. Because sometimes the biggest opportunities aren't the ones everyone is talking about. Sometimes they're the ones you almost overlooked. First, let's talk about getting started. You need some training in order to learn this business. Think about it this way. You wouldn't want a doctor operating on your heart without proper training, experience, and demonstrated competence. The same principle applies when you're dealing with other people's money. Before you can participate, you'll need to complete some training and prove that you can trade their money responsibly. But don't let that intimidate you. If you can count to 3, you can learn to do this. This is not a race. There is no time limit. You can move through the training as quickly or as slowly as you choose. Someone who is diligent and has time on their hands could be up and running in a month or 2. But even if you take a slow and steady pace, what you learn will follow you for a lifetime and give you an opportunity for financial freedom that perhaps nothing else will. The training will cost you $50 per month, and that's nothing compared to the $6,000 that I paid. But here's where it gets interesting. We've created a 3x5 forced matrix designed to give you an opportunity to earn money out of the gate and offset the monthly training cost by simply introducing other people to the program. Here's how it works. If you or someone above you refers more than 3, that creates spillover. You can have 3 people on level 1. Those 3 can each introduce 3 more, creating 9 people on level 2. Then 27 on level 3, 81 on level 4. And 243 on level 5. That's 363 positions when the matrix is filled, but it doesn't have to be filled for you to start earning money. You receive $5 for each person, and with just 10 people in your matrix, the cost of your training is covered. A full matrix would pay you $1,815 per month. Now obviously, even with the potential of spillover, a completely filled matrix isn't automatic and earnings aren't guaranteed. The actual results depend on participation and the number of people in your matrix. But here's the part that is fascinating. You don't have to become an expert before sharing the opportunity. Simply introduce people to the education and let them decide whether it's right for them. So the question isn't, can I afford $50 a month? The better question might be, could I learn something valuable while creating a way to offset the $50 and potentially earn a lot more along the way? Now think about any job or profession. Every one of them requires a skill set. Some skills take years of education and practice to develop. Others can be learned relatively quickly. What I'm talking about doesn't require physical strength. You don't have to be a rocket scientist, and you don't need a college degree. You need to be willing to learn. I have a son in the 5th grade and another in the 11th grade. Both are currently going through this education. Why? Because I want them to understand that there are ways to develop valuable skills beyond the traditional path of going to college and working for someone else. A very successful gentleman who's been doing this for 40 years said this: "If you can count to 3, I can teach you how to trade. Whether you will actually do it is another question, but I can teach you." I love that because it gets right to the heart of the matter. The question isn't whether you're capable of learning. The question is, are you willing to learn? Can you count to 3? And are you willing to develop a skill that, when properly learned and responsibly applied, could potentially allow you to participate in markets from virtually anywhere you have an internet connection? Maybe you've tried trading before and it didn't work out. Maybe you lost money. Maybe you didn't have the education or discipline you needed. Or maybe you've simply listened to people tell you that trading is too complicated, too risky, or impossible for someone like you. I'm asking you to set those assumptions aside for a moment. Come in with fresh eyes. Learn before you judge. Develop the skill before you decide whether it's for you. Because maybe some of those dreams you've had, the ones that have been sitting on a shelf collecting dust, aren't gone. Maybe they just need a new opportunity. Come train with us. Learn with us, trade with us, and become part of a community and mastermind environment designed to challenge what you believe is possible. You'll learn a skill set. You'll learn how markets work. You'll learn how experienced traders approach opportunities and manage risk. And through the sharing program, you may also have an opportunity to offset your education costs and potentially create an additional source of income. There may even be opportunities to participate using outside capital, subject to the applicable rules, qualifications, and risks. This isn't a promise of easy money. It's an invitation to learn a different skill. So if you're ready to open your mind, learn something new, and take a serious look at what's possible, join us. Let's learn, let's grow, and let's build your future together.
Next is a short clip from someone who has been in the industry for 40 years.
Some people ask me, like, Oliver, do you think that it's possible that you can teach me how to trade? I always say, can you count to 3? You're not always confused. Count to 3. Yeah, can you count to 3? Yeah, I can count to 3. Yeah, I can teach you how to trade then. Now, whether you will do it is another thing, but I can teach you. If you can count to 3, I can teach you. 3 positions above the narrow state. 1, 2, 3. Right? Very rarely are there things greater than 3 in trading. 3 positions above the state, 3 positions below the state. 2 moving averages. You're always within 1, 2, or 3. 2 moving averages. 2 color bars, green and red. 2 moving averages, 20 and the 200. 3 positions above the narrow state. 3 positions above the narrow state. 2 major states, narrow, wide. 2 actions, buy, sell, or 2 trades, long, short. 2 results, win, loss. You can freaking count to 3. You're either above the state or below the state. Trending or not trending. Going up or going down. Green or red. 20 or 200. Wide or narrow. It's crazy. If you can count to 3, you got most of the shit covered. Right? It's not rocket science. People are overcomplicating the trading game, when in fact, it's simple. It's made up of a bunch of things that stay within the number 3. But I'm going to share with you 3 things that I promise will guarantee that you completely change the quality of your trading starting today. I guarantee you this. I'm going to share 3 things. These 3 things are actually going to appear as though they're very simple, but I don't want you to confuse the simplicity for lack of power. What I'm going to share with you today are powerful foundational things that's going to make your trading unrecognizable to you, and maybe even as early as starting Monday. You guys ready to take some notes on this?
So if we look at what's happening in the networking world today, the attraction has increasingly become money. People aren't necessarily looking for another job. They're looking for a way to make their money work harder for them. The problem is that traditional network marketing often depends on a variable you don't completely control, and that's other people. Other people. You can recruit someone, train them, encourage them, and give them the best tools available, but ultimately you can't make another person take action. That's the variable that can make building a network so unpredictable. Learning to trade introduces a fundamentally different concept. Instead of building an income primarily around getting other people to duplicate what you do, you're developing a skill of your own. You learn the markets, you learn the process, you learn risk management, and you learn how to make your own decisions. You become less dependent on someone else and more dependent on your own knowledge, discipline, and execution. And that to me is a profound shift. Instead of simply building a network of people, you're building yourself. And when you develop a valuable skill, nobody can take that education away from you. So tonight isn't simply about launching another program. I see this as the rebirth of BDM, and every rebirth requires some pruning. Now, over the 2 years since we launched, BDM has accumulated people who joined with good intentions but never became active. Some disappeared, some stopped participating, some simply moved on. And that's okay. But if we're going to build something new, we need to prune the dead wood. This time we're building differently. We want people who are engaged, willing to learn, willing to participate, and willing to help one another succeed. If what you've heard tonight interests you, your next step is simple. Talk to your sponsor. Find out whether they're planning to participate in this new chapter of BDM. If they are, great, you're already connected. If they're not, don't assume that means you can't participate. We'll connect you with an active upline member. The objective is simple. We want active people helping active people. When people are engaged, trained, and working together, we have the potential to build the organization much faster than we could by simply adding names to a list. The matrix will fill faster and as the matrix fills, those who participate will have the opportunity to earn even faster. But remember, nothing happens simply because you sign up. The opportunity is there, the training is there, the community is there, but what you do with it is up to you. So tonight, I'm inviting you to become part of the rebirth of BDM, not the BDM of yesterday, a new BDM. A BDM built around education, participation, cooperation, and opportunity. If you've been waiting for a reason to get involved again, this may be your moment. If you're new to BDM, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. Let's prune the dead wood. Let's plant something new. Let's grow together. And let's see what we can build when everyone who joins is committed to becoming an active participant. Welcome to the rebirth of BDM. Thank you for joining with us tonight. Let's go ahead and open up for just a moment. If any of you'd like to ask a question or share a comment, we'd love to hear from you. Questions,
Well,
Yeah.
anybody?
I'm very interested.
Okay.
I'm very interested because more 5, 7 years ago, I was semi-involved with this until I had a big dramatic change and just didn't have focus on it any longer. So yeah, definitely, I'm excited to know about it. But the rest of BDM is still going to be going on. I mean,
Oh,
you can
yes,
still
yes.
do the dual stream or the charity club or everything else too. Okay,
Absolutely.
just making sure. Well, as always, thank you, John. Thank you very much for all that you do and offer to us to participate with. Just get with it, right? Exactly.
Thank you, Christina.
Of course.
David, did you? have a question or comment?
Well, she just asked what I was going to ask, so I'm good. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, thank you again for joining us tonight. May God bless you throughout the coming week, and we look forward to seeing you again on Tuesday. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.